We live in a time when it's easier than ever to speak. With social media, group chats, blogs, and videos, everyone has a platform. Everyone has something to say. And while words can be powerful, words alone are only intentions. They are blueprints without buildings. They are the promise of a future, not the reality of one. It's not wrong to talk about your dreams. In fact, expressing them can create clarity. Telling someone your goal can even create a sense of commitment. But if we stop at the speaking stage, we deceive ourselves. Talking can give us a temporary feeling of accomplishment. It can trick our brain into thinking we're progressing, when really, we haven't even taken the first step. That's the danger of living in the world of talk. You can spend all day reading motivational quotes, commenting on posts, watching inspiring videos, and telling everyone how big your plans are. But unless you move your feet, nothing changes. Unless you take action, your words are just vapor in the wind. Dreams demand action. They require that you leave the comfort of talk and walk into the discomfort of doing. Think about someone who tells their friends, "I'm going to write a book this year." Great intention. But if they never sit down to write a single page, what is that statement worth? The words were good, but there was no proof behind them. You can say you're going to get in shape. But unless you're lacing up your shoes, controlling your diet, and showing up to the gym, the words are nothing more than hopeful noise. Now compare that to the person who doesn't talk much about their goals, but you notice they're doing something. They quietly disappear in the early mornings or late nights to work. They're learning, building, refining, failing, and improving. And one day, without having made a big announcement, they've transformed. They've built the business, written the book, lost the weight, mastered the skill, and they never had to convince anyone. They simply showed the proof. That's the power of doing. Actions are hard evidence. They are undeniable. You can't fake consistency. You can't bluff your way through effort. People may question your words, but they can't question your results. You don't need to defend yourself when the proof is standing in front of them. A finished product, a transformed life, it's a breakthrough moment. These things speak louder than any declaration ever could. When you prioritize action over talk, you build credibility, not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you teach your mind that your word has weight. You train your body and your spirit to believe that when you say something, you mean it. That kind of integrity is rare, and it's powerful. It's tempting to speak first, to get that rush of dopamine from people's reactions, to hear them say, "Wow, that's amazing, you're really going to do that." But let me tell you, real confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need applause to keep going. It doesn't wait for permission to begin. Real confidence is grounded in quiet effort, in getting up day after day and doing what needs to be done, regardless of who's watching. There's a saying, "Well done is better than well said." That's a principle worth living by. Let your actions create the narrative. Let your habits form the sentence. Let your sacrifices become the story. You don't need a script when your life becomes the message. So the next time you feel like announcing your plans, pause. Ask yourself, have I started yet? Have I done something today that moves me forward? Have I proven to myself, not the world, that I'm serious? Because once the action starts, the need for words begins to fade. You'll be too focused on progress to worry about impressions. It's easy to declare something, to make a bold statement. This is my year. I'm going to be successful. No more excuses. People do it all the time. Declarations feel good. They make us feel strong, like we're taking control. But here's the truth. Declarations don't create change. Discipline does. The world doesn't change because of what you say. It changes because of what you do, again and again, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need applause. Discipline isn't interested in the spotlight. It lives in early mornings, in showing up when you don't feel like it, in doing the work even when motivation is nowhere to be found. It's brushing your teeth, not because someone told you to, but because it's part of who you are. It's writing that chapter even when your mind is blank. It's working out when your body says, "Stay home." It's making the phone call, reading the book, preparing the presentation, doing the training every day without making a big announcement about it. Most people confuse motivation with commitment. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. Motivation is what helps you make declarations. But discipline is deeper. It doesn't ask, "Do I feel like it?" It asks, "Is this who I want to become?" You don't build a strong body with one trip to the gym, just like you don't build a strong mind with one good book. Growth requires repetition. And repetition requires discipline. Discipline is what happens after the excitement fades, after the crowd stops clapping, after no one is checking in on you. Declarations may earn you attention, but discipline earns you results. You can declare your goals all day, but if you don't have the habits to back them up, they're just empty promises to yourself. Here's where many people go wrong. They wait for the feeling to come. They wait to feel inspired. But disciplined people don't wait to feel ready. They show up regardless of how they feel, because they understand that how they feel in the moment isn't as important as what they want in the long run. They don't let temporary discomfort control their long-term direction. When you build a life on discipline, you create momentum, and momentum is a powerful thing. The small wins begin to stack. You feel better, not because you said you would, but because you proved to yourself that you could. And that self-trust becomes a fuel source more powerful than any motivational speech. Now, I'm not saying declarations are useless. Sometimes they're the spark. They can help us set our intention. But they must be followed with structure, with a routine, with consistency, with the decision to show up whether you feel like it or not. Because it's in the repetition that real change occurs. Think of any successful person, an athlete, a leader, an artist. What separates them isn't their declarations, it's their discipline. It's the mornings they got up when it was easier to sleep in. The times they pushed through fear, self-doubt, exhaustion. It's the way they trained themselves to keep moving, to keep building, to keep learning every single day. Discipline is not punishment, it's not restriction, it's freedom. Freedom from chaos, from regret, from wasted time. It gives you control over your day, your direction, your destiny. So when you're disciplined, you don't need to rely on willpower or luck. You have systems, you have habits, you have control. So the next time you want to make a declaration, pause, then ask yourself what system will support this goal. What small step can I repeat tomorrow and the day after and the day after that? Because discipline doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to be consistent. We live in a world full of pitches. People are constantly selling something, an idea, a dream, a plan, a version of themselves. Social media has become a stage for performance where people project the life they want others to believe they're living. But at the end of the day, all the talking, marketing, and promises can only carry you so far. Sooner or later, people stop listening to what you say and start looking at what you've done. That's why results matter, because results don't need hype. They don't need persuasion. They speak for themselves. You can tell people how talented you are, how motivated, how hard you work, but unless there's something to show for it, it's all just noise. Anyone can say they're dedicated. Anyone can say they're passionate. But passion without output is just potential energy sitting still. It doesn't move the needle. Results are what prove your claims. You can't argue with someone who shows you the product, the transformation, the outcome. Their work becomes the evidence. If you're an entrepreneur, you can pitch your product 100 different ways, but nothing sells better than a satisfied customer. If you're trying to grow in your career, you can tell your boss how committed you are. But the real question is, are you delivering value? Are your results clear, consistent, and measurable? If not, the best speeches in the world won't save you. Action wins trust. Results build credibility. Not once, but repeatedly. A person who produces results doesn't have to convince anyone. They simply demonstrate. Their actions, their progress, their improvement over time tell a better story than any well-rehearsed pitch. That's the power of being outcome-focused. Because when you focus on execution instead of presentation, you automatically set yourself apart from the crowd. Most people spend their energy trying to appear successful. A few quietly become successful. It's not about being flashy. It's about being effective. Think about the person who says little but delivers much. You notice them. You respect them. Why? Because they're consistent. Because they don't have to remind you of what they're doing. You see it. And that's something no amount of talking can replace. Results create trust, not just in others, but in yourself. Every time you follow through, you build confidence. You stop doubting because you've seen what you can do. A pitch might get attention for a moment, but results hold that attention over time. They are the difference between potential and performance, between intention and impact. When someone has results, people listen more closely to what they have to say, not because their words are louder, but because their work has given their words weight. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. In fact, the most powerful people often aren't. They've learned that real influence isn't about talking more. It's about producing more. It's about showing up, delivering value, and letting the outcome speak. Let others chase attention if they want. You chase mastery. You chase execution. It's because when you start stacking wins small, daily consistent wins, you become undeniable. So the next time you're tempted to explain, impress, or convince, take a step back. Ask yourself, what have I produced? What have I built? What progress have I made that others can see without me having to say a word? That's where your power lies. Not in your promises, but in your proof. In the end, no one remembers the pitch if there's no performance behind it. But they will remember the one who didn't talk much but always delivered. Be that person. Let your results do the talking. Energy is one of your most valuable resources. It's limited each day, and how you choose to use it determines the quality of your results. Many people don't realize how much of their energy is being consumed by talking about goals, ideas, plans, and intentions. Now, discussion has its place. Strategic thinking, planning, collaboration. These are all important. But there's a point where talking becomes a substitute for doing. That's where progress dies. Every time you talk about what you're going to do, your mind gets a small reward. It feels good. You feel productive. People validate you. You might even start to believe that saying something is close to achieving something. But that's a trap. That feeling is false progress. You've spent energy, but you haven't moved forward. You've used mental and emotional fuel to paint the picture, but you haven't laid a single brick. The more you talk, the more you drain yourself. Energy that could have been used for learning a skill, building a habit, taking action. That energy is lost in endless conversations. It's like revving a car engine while in neutral. There's noise, motion, vibration, but the car's not going anywhere. You're burning fuel, but staying in the same place. Have you ever felt exhausted after a long day of planning and talking, only to realize you didn't actually do anything? That's what happens when the balance tips too far toward conversation and not enough toward action. It wears you down, mentally and emotionally. Over time, you start to lose trust in your own words. You begin to doubt yourself. Why? Because deep down, you know you've been talking about change more than creating it. The solution is to shift from a talker's mindset to a doer's mindset. That means saving your energy for execution. It means putting more effort into your calendar than into your conversations. Replace statements like, I'm going to start working out, with actually putting on your shoes and showing up at the gym. Replace, I want to launch this project, with creating the first version, no matter how rough it is. Keep your circle tight when it comes to sharing your goals. Not everyone needs to know what you're working on. Talking less protects your energy and creates pressure to follow through. It creates space for focus. And when you focus, you build momentum. And momentum is what changes your life. The key is to develop a bias toward action, not perfection, not constant planning, just movement. You'll learn faster by doing than by debating. You'll gain more insight by failing forward than by analyzing endlessly. You don't need to wait until everything is figured out. Start where you are with what you have and conserve your energy for the work, not the announcement. People who achieve great things understand this. They don't waste energy convincing the world. They don't spend hours justifying their ambitions. They quietly and consistently do the work. They've learned that the best use of energy is execution, because it's only through execution that dreams become reality. So be mindful of your energy. Every word you say about your goals should be matched, or better yet, outweighed by the steps you're taking. Don't leak your drive through excessive speech. Protect your ambition. Channel your energy into effort, into building, into progress. Let your life speak for itself. Character is not something you say you have. It's something you show through the way you live. It's not built in conversation, but in decision. It's shaped in silence, in struggle, and in the small, often unseen moments when you choose to follow through, to persist, to do the right thing even when no one is clapping. Conversation can reveal your intentions, but only action can develop the discipline, resilience, and self-respect that form true character. You see, it's easy to talk about principles. It's easy to speak about integrity, hard work, and commitment. But talk doesn't challenge you. Talk doesn't stretch you. Action does. It's in action that you face friction, resistance, and failure. And those are the conditions that test who you really are. Anyone can sound strong when nothing is on the line. But when the pressure's on, when the outcome is uncertain, when the road gets tough, that's when your true self is revealed. And that version of you is not shaped by what you say, but by what you do. You don't build patience by talking about patience. You build it by enduring delays without giving up. You don't build discipline by telling people you're disciplined. You build it by waking up early, by staying committed when distractions call, by finishing what you start. You don't become courageous by saying you're brave. You become courageous when you take action in the face of fear. That's how character is formed, through repeated acts of integrity, grit, and consistency, not through verbal declarations. What's more, every action you take sends a signal to your own mind. When you follow through on a promise to yourself, even a small one, your confidence grows. You start to trust yourself. That's the foundation of inner strength. Knowing that when you say you'll do something, you'll do it. And that kind of self-trust cannot be developed through words alone. It requires action again and again, especially when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unrewarded. This is why character isn't built in a single big decision. It's built in thousands of small ones. Choosing to be honest when a lie would be easier. Choosing to work when it would be easier to quit. Choosing to keep your word even when no one would know if you didn't. These are the quiet moments of growth. They don't get attention, but they build something far more valuable than recognition. They build you. It's important to remember that action doesn't always feel glamorous. In fact, it rarely does. It often looks like showing up when you're tired, staying focused when you're bored, or doing the right thing when there's no reward in sight. But that's the beauty of it. That's where the transformation happens. Your character is not formed in easy moments. It's forged in the fires of perseverance. There's nothing wrong with conversation. Words can inspire, clarify, and connect. But when it comes to building your identity, your reputation, and your legacy, it is your actions that matter. It is what you do day in and day out that shapes who you are and how you're remembered. So if you want to become someone of strong character, don't just talk about the person you want to be. Act like that person. Start now. Make the hard choices. Show up when it counts. So let your actions write your story. Because in the end, character isn't what you say. It's what you prove through how you live. Success is not about how many people believe in your idea. It's not about how many likes, comments, or compliments you receive. True success is measured by what you actually produce, by the results you deliver, by the things you bring into existence through effort, consistency, and focus. Opinions are everywhere, and while they may feel encouraging or discouraging in the moment, they do not define your reality. What defines you is your output, what you build, complete, and deliver over time. In today's world, many people get caught up in perception. They chase validation instead of value. They want to be seen working more than they want to do the work. They crave recognition before they've produced anything worth recognizing. But you have to understand opinions don't pay the price of discipline. They don't show up early or stay up late. They don't carry the weight of sacrifice. Output does. Output is the real currency of achievement. You can't deposit opinions in the bank. You can't build a career, a legacy, or a life of meaning on what other people think of your potential. You build it on what you actually do. The hours you log, the projects you finish, the progress you make. Those are the real metrics that matter. You might have a great idea, and others might even say, that sounds amazing, but unless you execute it, Unless you bring it into the world, it remains just that, an idea. This is why it's so important to detach from the need for approval. Approval is optional. Output is essential. The danger of relying on opinions is that they shift constantly. One moment, people may cheer you on. The next, they may doubt you. If you base your identity or your effort on the ups and downs of others' opinions, you'll live in emotional chaos. But if you ground yourself in the process of producing value, you gain stability. Your progress becomes measurable, regardless of what anyone says. Focus on what you can control: your effort, your decisions, your habits, your consistency. The results will follow, and once they do, the opinions change anyway. At first, they may question your path. They may say, that will never work. But when the output is undeniable, even your critics take notice, because results have a way of silencing doubt. Think about it this way. The most respected people in any field didn't earn that respect through popularity. They earned it through performance, through results, through execution. They didn't get there by being liked. They got there by being relentless. While others were talking, they were working. While others were worrying about what people thought, they were focused on what needed to get done. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to believe enough to act again and again. Show up when it's hard. Produce when no one's watching. Deliver when no one expects you to. Because over time, it's your output that defines your path, not the noise around you. People remember what you did, not what you promised. So don't measure your progress by opinions. Don't ask, what do people think of me? Ask, what have I actually created? What have I moved forward? What results am I producing that make my effort real? That's the scoreboard that matters. That's where the truth lies. Success is earned through consistent action. Let your output be the loudest part of your voice. Let it stand taller than the opinions around you. Because in the end, results always speak louder and longer than applause.